sure. I agree. Um, when you look at Devin Haney, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, at least to me anyways, that he's the best guy at 147. You can't really favor anybody at 147 over him. And it's really not particularly close, if you ask me. But I remember before the Brian Norman fight actually happened, and it was like a little 50-50-ish and whatever. And before that, Devin was just like, yo, I agreed to the Boots fight, 152, whatever, whatever. But now that we've seen Devin at 147 and we've seen how he looked against Brian Norman, not, if they met it like a catchweight or something like that, is that like a 50-50-ish type fight? And if it's not, do you think Devin is on Boots' level? Like, I know how highly you think of Boots, but do you think he's like right there?
I thought Devin said that he agreed to fight Boots at 147, and then Boots said
Yeah.
152.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't want to get misquoted because people say things wrong. Not trying to correct you, but
No, go
you
ahead.
know,
No problem.
people in their teams are very sensitive, and I don't want to say nothing about nobody that's not true because I respect both teams. But
Yeah.
I remember Devin talking about that. He agreed to the fight at 47, and Boots won at 52, and he had never fought at 47 before,
Mhm.
which is understandable on both guys.
Yeah.
Um, is Devin on Boots level? Yeah, he is. I
Mhm.
think he is. Not saying he's better than Boots. I think very highly of Boots. And if you and I think Boots is one of the best fighters in the world. But Devin has won three titles in three different weight divisions. He's accomplished more than Boots. He's younger than Boots. And he's been fighting a higher level opponent than Boots.
Mhm.
I think Boots is probably a little bit more talented than Devin, but you it's it's close enough where, a person who likes Devin can state his case, and a person who likes Boots can state his case.
Mhm.
Um, I like them both. I don't really want to compare them. You asking me,
Mhm.
so I'm just going to say that they're around on the same level. With Devin accomplishing a little bit more, or Boots probably is a little bit more talented, in my opinion. But
Is
you know,
is 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 the experience, and when I say experience, I mean like on the big stage. Would that be a factor in that fight maybe? Because when I looked at the Norman versus Haney fight, Haney looks great and whatever, but he just looks so comfortable on that big stage. He's fought on that stage like 100 times. Norman didn't really, I don't know, I could be wrong, man, but he just didn't. It looked like the moment might have been a little bit too big for him. I don't know. What do you think?
here's how I feel about the big stage. It does matter. Some fighters can perform on a big stage the first time they get there. Because you got to understand something, Hans. It's always a first time for everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And some guys can perform on there when the first time they get there, and sometimes guys need a little bit more time on the big stage to figure it out. There was a question in Crawford versus Canelo of can Crawford deal with that level of stage where the world is looking? He was fine on there.
Yeah.
But Canelo had the experience of the big pay-per-view main event guy at the highest level you could possibly be at by going against the Mayweathers and the Triple G's and some of his record setting pay-per-view fights. So Haney does have more experience than Boots been on the big stage, but that doesn't mean that Boots can't perform on the big stage. You just have to kind of see if Boots' anxiety and can he carry out his fight plan and do what he needs to do. Because some guys the big stage doesn't bother them, and some guys they do. And when we break down these fights, sometimes we say, well, this guy got the experience on being on the big stage. And some guys go up there the first time and they win. And then some guys, they might struggle a little bit. It just depends. I really don't know. You really don't know until you get there. You know what I mean? Obviously, it will be a little advantage for Devin, but we got to see how Boots handles it. But I don't think Boots and Devin are fighting or anything like that. I think we kind of wasting our time. I think Boots is at 54, Devin is at 47, and I can't see them fighting at this current moment right now. It's a lot going on at 154 for Boots. and Devin is just the newly crowned champion at 147. And he got a lot of options.
Gotcha. Um, Crawford to me and a lot of people is the best fighter, pound for pound. But I'll tell you what, man. If Bam Rodriguez was the same size as everybody, like everybody in the world was the same size, I'm not sure I'd pick anybody over Bam. How good is Bam? And if Bam fights Inoue, and I know how much respect and love you got for Inoue. If he fought him, is that a 50-50 fight, or is that just like I'd probably slightly go with this guy over this guy?
Um, I think Crawford's the best fighter in the world, and I think Bam's a remarkable talent. Um, I don't think he can be in a way though,
Mhm. Is it the weight, maybe?
because well, that's a big deal. In a way he's at 122 and he's at 115. That's a real thing that we got.
Yeah.
And here is the thing, right? Bam is one of those guys who is a super talent, but he's not like he doesn't have overwhelming physicality.
Mhm.
There's a little bit different. Like he's not hitting you and breaking your face. He's not like moving through a wall with his ability to move things. His skill level is on the same level as Inouye's, but his physicality is not. Um, Inoue punches harder. He's faster. He's more physical. He's just as talented, but he's more twitchier. He's a better overall athlete. I'm not talking about fighter, but overall athlete. So you move up and weight to fight a guy who hit harder than you, who is faster than you, who's more dynamic than you, and also equally skilled. That's a very tough assignment for Bam, in my opinion. I could be wrong. He might be that special where he could overcome it, but it's a little different than Crawford moving up fighting Canelo, where Crawford is the better athlete, in my opinion. Crawford is uh has more agility, has more athleticism, has better stamina, um, probably a equal or maybe better skill set. You know what I mean? Was longer, was taller. So Crawford had advantages moving up. Now, if Crawford had to move up to 168 pounds and fight Roy Jones Jr., I wouldn't have picked him. You understand what I'm saying? It's a different kind of fight. Roy Jones is taller, he's faster in my opinion. He punches harder. He got the Olympic pedigree. Y'all want Crawford to move up 2 weight divisions to fight him? That's a different fight than fighting the 5'7" Canelo. And I'm not taking nothing away from Canelo, but I'm just saying that the moving up part, you got to factor in, got to hold it in context.
Yeah.
Bam moving up to fight in a way, bro, that's he's giving up too much on top of the size, in my opinion. And that's where the moving up gets a little bit dangerous. You gotta it depends on who you're moving up against. When Roy Jones moved up, you ain't see him go up and fight Lennox Lewis. You
Mhm.
saw him fight John Ruiz. It's a different fight.
Yeah.
Um, so no, I love Bam. I respect him. I think Bam is a mix of Orlando Canizales and Vasil Lomachenko. That's how highly I think of him. But asking him to go up 2 more weight divisions and fight Inoue at 122 pounds, I think Inoue beats him.
You are really, really good at like making comparisons with guys. This guy reminds you of this guy. And I feel like I know a lot about boxing history. Sometimes you see these comparisons, and when we get off, I'll be like, all right, let me look this dude up because like I don't know who the hell this guy is, man. So you the only guy that can pull some shit off like that. But
Have you watched Orlando Canizales?
no.
When you get a chance, watch him versus a guy named Kelvin Seabrook. Bro, he's smooth as butter. Mexican dude of the 90s, 118-pound champion, smooth, can punch, does not run out of gas, knows how to slide up on you. Don't do no running. Stay right in front of you and stepping around you, slipping, catching every layer of defense. Not so much a dynamic athlete, but dynamic with his skill set. You know
Mm,
what I mean? And um, I think he probably got maybe 16, 17 defenses of his IBF title at 118 pounds. He was a great fight. He's a Hall of Famer. So just check him out. I want to sell him to you. You just check him out and tell me what you think of him. But that's who Bam remind me of. him and Lomachenko. Canizales is orthodox, so Bam's a southpaw. So he got him and Lomachenko in his game.
Definitely text it to me because, I got a lot of family in town, so definitely need something to do other than, having them annoy me all day. But I actually wanted to ask you, who is there a comparison for who does Abdullah Mason remind you of, man?
Damn, it's a good question. I don't want to make nothing up to kind of just give you a comparison. But right now, off the top of my head, I don't really have a comparison um to Mason. I'm trying to think while we talking. Um I don't really have a comparison to him just yet though. I gotta see a little bit more of him to give you more of an accurate answer.